All right, let's talk about sex. Jenny, since you wanted to talk about this, you lead, girl.
All right. Oh, what a fun topic. Come on. Sex is a part of our daily life, right? Well,
We
not
hope.
mine.
Wait, daily?
Want it to be for
Is
you
there
guys.
a recommended daily allowance? What's my recommended
Well,
daily allowance?
it hasn't really been a part of my life too much the past 2 years. But no, seriously, let's really talk about this because it's really important. I remember I don't know, 15 years ago, before I really started taking care of myself and eating right and exercising, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't feel too good. I didn't feel too confident, and I didn't want to get naked in front of anybody. And I don't know about you guys, but you tell me how you felt.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great way to kick this call off, you guys, because you hear moms who are listening, the three main things that we want you guys to get out of us talking about this and why sex in our lives is such a key important thing for our happiness is because it helps us to connect with our partner. That's super huge, right? Because it helps us love ourselves more if we're doing it in a healthful way, if we're doing it with the right perspective, and we're going to get into that in a second. And the other thing is it allows us to be able to express ourselves. If we're, again, getting into having a sexual life in a healthy way, then being able to express ourselves sexually is huge for our ability to increase our happiness. So we're going to get into all of these areas, and let's talk first about body confidence. I love what you bring up, Jenny, because for a lot of us, and especially for me too, Jenny and I were both obese in our younger years for most of our lives while we were raising our kids when they were little. And for me, I absolutely, lights out, if I could be fully dressed with maybe just, accessible areas, that's what I would have done. I would have been just get it over with, hurry up.
Oh, God.
Don't look.
Are we talking crotchless, or are we talking the marriage sheet? When you have the whole sheet over you and just that little
Right? Hospital gown, that kind of thing.
Nice.
But feeling sexy was certainly not what I was experiencing, and it was actually a really negative experience for me because it put me in a very uncomfortable position. I was very uncomfortable to be intimate because I was very uncomfortable with myself, because I knew that I wasn't taking care of myself. I knew that I wasn't loving myself. And so how could I be attractive to anyone if I knew I was not showing up for myself in that way? So Jenny, what was that like for you?
Sorry, internet connection was it was not fun. I will tell you that. It was not fun at all. And it was really embarrassing. And I don't know. I didn't enjoy it at all. I remember, I don't know about you guys, but I remember in the shower and trying to get out of the shower, and I'd have the towel hanging over the glass doors so that when I got out, nobody would see me. I would just hurry up and, put the towel on and bundle up and get my robe on, and it's all good, and I was safe. But man, I did not like looking in the mirror at my body or myself at all when I was overweight. I hated it.
Mm-hmm. And we know now that it's not all about how your body looks. It really boils down to how you feel about yourself, because we can be whatever shape. If we know we're showing up for ourselves in terms of loving ourselves and doing things to help ourselves be our healthiest and our best, then confidence comes from that. Me, when I made the choice to start being healthy and start taking care of myself, start thinking more about myself and doing things that involve more self-care, that made me feel better about myself, which made me feel more sexual, to be honest with you, and wanting to express myself more sexually. So this is not about working out and eating healthy only. This is about what's going on up here and how we think about ourselves. Kelly, how
Self-love.
do you overcome that?
It's interesting because I was always the type of person to outrun a bad diet, so to speak, and literally I did run. But if you're not feeding your body correctly, you're going to feel bad. Like, just, you're going to physically feel tired. And we all know that excuse is, oh, I'm too tired. And it comes from everybody, and you do feel tired. So, we talk about, cleaning up your diet, doing exercise, because it physically changes you. It gets you out of that fog. And it gets, when you see changes in your body, you start to look in the mirror and you're like, oh, well, wait a minute, or this is looser, or, whatever. You start to just feel good about yourself. And it doesn't have to be a radical weight loss. It's just that start. Maybe your skin is clearer and you're like, oh my God, I think I am kind of pretty. It's talking to yourself in that way that, you start to walk taller, you wear more fitted clothing, you start to make yourself more noticeable, maybe to your partner or other people out there. I mean, it's just the way we work as human beings. I mean, we are born and our job is to procreate, so these are the actions that, are just normal for us. But wanting to create that intimate relationship with your partner starts with how you feel about yourself. So it starts with the food, it starts with working out just so that you feel better, but also starts with feeding your mind better things. If you're the one looking in the mirror going, you are so ugly, you are fat, you are unattractive, that's what your body's going to feel. There is beauty in you. There is. I mean, there were days I remember, I know this is weird, but I wasn't feeling good about my body, but I've always loved my eyes. I have the most beautiful blue eyes. They're my dad's eyes. So I would take that one thing, and I love it, be going, God, that's so cool. I've got great blue eyes. They're my dad's. This is awesome. And that just made me feel a little bit better, so, and Jenny, I would lock the door so no one would come in when I got out of the shower, so I didn't have to worry about covering up really quick. I didn't want anybody around. But it's just it's the things literally that you feed your mouth and feed your mind that help you get over this feeling of unworthiness, because everybody's worthy. Everybody is worthy of love and happiness and connection and intimacy and just good old sex.
Well, Cal, like what you're talking about right now, it's interesting, but what happens when, like, you've also been around someone who tells you that you're ugly and you're fat and you're worthless and all of that? Because, I know that feeling. And so you're battling not only yourself looking in the mirror and trying to love yourself and that self-talk, but when other people are telling you that stuff too, how do you deal with that? Like, it's that's a great topic right there too, because I'm sure a lot of people, well, I hope not a lot of people, but some people out there deal with that too.
I think they do. And when you're in a situation, I mean, I was in a situation of self-loathing. And I think when you feel that on your own and someone else is telling you, it's really hard. But that's like the ultimate battle, in your life. It's just really feeding yourself. Either you're going to have to learn to change something, whether it's about you. And I thought for a long time that I had to fix it. I was the one that had to change. I was the one that had to come to the cure-all for that. And the responsibility doesn't lie all on one person's shoulder. And it also doesn't change overnight. So me looking in the mirror going, oh, you have beautiful eyes, doesn't necessarily go, oh, I'm so cool, It doesn't happen instantaneously. So, it's a process, and you have to learn to connect yourself with people surround yourself with those people that are going to uplift you and not hang, you know, all the time. I mean, I realize there's situations, and, you know, that's a whole nother podcast. There are situations that, you know, people can't be in, but you also have to find those people that you want to be around that are going to make you feel good about yourself and challenge you to be a better person and make those connections that make you feel good too.
Michelle.
I think it's really important. I mean, we're talking about how we feel and getting a little bit into, you know, who is it on the other side of the bed? You know, it's not only about us and how perfect we feel, or, you know, how great we feel about ourselves on any particular day, but how that person that we've decided to be intimate with. And if you think about that, you know, being truly intimate, you know, like for me, I guess I'm lucky because my husband thinks that I'm the bee's knees, you know, exactly the way I am. He loves my butt. He loves my curves. He loves everything. And I mean, when I'm with him, I am a, a supermodel. You know, it's like that. I'm so lucky to have that infused into my relationship, that he really lifts me up, you know, even on the days where I don't feel, you know, that fabulous about myself. And I do the same for him. I mean, to me, he's the ultimate guy for me. I just can't get enough of him, you know. So I think part of this, when we're talking about wherever we are in our journeys and celebrating, you know, the things that help us feel better, our health, our diet, our fitness, our spirituality, where we are mentally in our heads, you know, one of the components that's super important is, who do we decide to share those things with? You know, because if you've got somebody that tells you that you're not attractive, or that you're ugly, or whatever, I mean, how can you even attempt to be intimate with a person like that? Where's the connection? You know?
And that's where you'll have to fake it.
Never ever fake it. Never ever fake it. If
You guys, I mean, and that's a good point. So when you get to that situation where you desperately want to enjoy that experience and you have to fake it so that you can fake yourself out, that you had an enjoyable experience, you don't know who you are in this situation. So you've got to define, what do I want to experience in these situations? How would I define my body confidence so that you know what your standard is there, and you're not being, you're the only influence is yourself. So if somebody else is saying something negative, or you're seeing something in society that's promoting a certain specific kind of image that, you know, they want to influence you to believe that you have to be in order to be sexy, then you need to know, where do you stand with what that looks like for you, and what that feels like for you, and how you look at yourself in that way, so that when all of these influences, external influences start coming in, you can say, nope, doesn't match. Nope, doesn't match. That bounces off. That bounces off. And yes, that aligns. I'll take that. That's good. And if you have negative forces coming into your life that are combating what you feel, you know exactly what you got to cut out and who you got to cut out. And that's got to be the work that you got to do before you get into those situations. And that's what Michelle's talking about. Like, when you're doing that kind of work in your life, then you're attracting the kind of people who are going to love you the way that they see you loving yourself. When you stick up for yourself and you love yourself, you're training others how you relationship, what's acceptable to you in terms of how you're going to allow people to treat you. So if you have people in your life who aren't treating you well, and they're coming in and creating negative experiences for you, you're allowing that. That's on you. So you have the power to change that. You have the power to let it in. You got the power to take it out. So I would encourage you, absolutely, first start with defining what body confidence is for you. And then then say, okay, what do I have in place that says, yes, I am this definition. And then what are you missing? If there are things in there that you feel should be a part of body confidence and you don't have that in your life, how do you get it there? and then put it in, so that, or start doing the work to get it there, because that's going to help you with body confidence too. That makes sense, you guys?
Yeah, awesome point.
Oh yeah.
All right, cool. Let's talk about connection with partner, because we started bringing that in this topic, and about faking it, about knowing who your man is, thinking about your partner and not just yourself. I love that, Michelle, when you said that. It's such a, you know, there's more than just you involved in this situation.
Beautiful.
Picking the right partner is part of it, but having sexual experiences is 100% supposed to be about connection. It's like the ultimate type of connection, for very specific, special type of relationships, to have that experience. So let's talk about that a little bit in terms of how do we deepen that, how do we make that a deep connection experience? How do you do it, Kelly?
You know, it's interesting because you mentioned writing out, you know, your definition of body confidence. And it's kind of the same thing with connection. I mean, Lord knows we've all been in screwed up relationships, or something's happened, and you know, I always take my responsibility for it, because that's important with moving on. But then I also, you know, I assess what do I want, you know, in a relationship. And I was so blessed, so lucky to have my husband as well. I feel the same way, you know, Michelle does about hers, about mine. And, you know, we are very, very specific about our time together. So, you know, very present. And sometimes we need to be reminded of that with all the technology around. But we plan special times, you know, throughout the week to reconnect, you know, to just talk, because everybody's going their different ways. You know, he's working, I'm taking care of the kid, taking her, doing my work, you know, I have calls in the evening, whatever. So we make special time, like we have coffee dates on Friday mornings, and we get up early and we leave technology, you know, behind, because hopefully nobody's going to be contacting us at 5 a.m. But my son is still sleeping. The dog is still sleeping. The cat is ignoring us as usual. But we're able to just sit there, and sometimes it takes a little while to get talking because you're tired, and you know, but you put in the effort. So I think when you make effort and your partner knows, and you know that you're putting in that effort, you feel that overwhelming love, and you feel cared for, and you feel connected to that person. So, you know, maybe Friday night he'll get lucky. You know, you never know. So,
why not Friday morning? Why not Friday morning?
Well, the kid has early school.
That's a Friday thing.
The kid has early school. But for us, that's the best day to do coffee dates. Not that, you know, well, some people schedule sex. I am not a sex scheduler, but some people do that because they have to, because their schedules are crazy. You know, I think it's just important to have that, you know, emotional intimacy before you can really have any physical kind of intimacy. And I feel very connected to my husband. I mean, not that we don't want to choke each other sometimes, but you know, I feel very connected to him, and grateful every day that he is my best friend, that, you know, we do almost everything together. So it's,
I am cracking up right now inside, because I am just picturing our phones going off an alarm, going, sex time.
I know, right? I have one that goes off that says, I am courageous, I am brave, and I have another one that says, well, it's sex time. Maybe one right after the other, I don't know.
You might be cracking up, but the husbands are like, what? You know, I love this, what Kelly's saying here, because essentially what that is, what she's talking about, all these little scheduled moments where effort is being made to connect with the other partner, is what I would consider like foreplay, like leading up to, you know. And this brings me to a book that I absolutely love. I know a bunch of you listeners have used or read this book before, and you can go online, The 5 Love Languages, and take a little assessment test to see what your love language is, because this is also a form, in my opinion, of foreplay. If you know what your partner's love language is, make sure that the day does not end where you don't express that in their way of expressing love, because what we know that we all have our different ways of expressing love or expressing appreciation towards other people. But specifically in intimate relationships, when we're making a lot of effort to express love in our love language, but it's not their love language, they won't hear it. And you'll be thinking, man, I'm working so hard to express love and it's not working. They're not feeling it. Well, because it's your love language, not theirs. So it's your responsibility to know what gets them in the heart, what gets them connected to you and how you need to express that for them. It's for them, right? So make it for them. So express it in their love language throughout the day, every day, at least once. Then you're making that connection so that when it comes time to be connected on an intimate level, you've sort of built up. You've like teed up that ability to just go right there and be fully connected in that moment. I love that. Good point, Kel.
That's a really awesome point, Paula, because my love language is gifts. So anybody who wants to give me gifts, give me gifts. But my husband is not. That's his lowest. So he's totally opposite of me. Quality time is his number one. So I'm able to express it in that way, and I enjoy it as well. But the thing that when you're connected like that too, when you know each other's love languages, it gives you confidence. And so we're not talking body confidence. We're just talking about confidence in a relationship that I can say, come on, honey, let's go. And not worry about being turned down because we have that connection. We've made that connection. It's like a guy asking for a date the first time. I mean, it's so scary, but why does it always have to be the guy? So it creates that sense of flirtation where, and then I can ask for it. So, I mean, don't you feel the same way, Michelle?
I do. And I think it's important that you say that, like, about flirtation and, having it feel a certain way for both people, because, I'm thinking about this scheduling the sex thing, and that just to me is not, I mean, that might be the end result, but I love all this talk about the different kinds of foreplay, and just being able to have that coffee together or spend that time together. I think it's so important for the scheduling of the time that you have just together. It doesn't have to be that you're scheduling, 33.2 minutes for sex.
That's a long time.
Right?
Not long enough.
But I mean, the point is, like, I know for me, I need to have that time with my husband because that's where I feel the safest and most comfortable in my world. So we have our time on Sundays. My husband works a lot. We're both busy. We've both got things going on all throughout the week, just like everyone else does. And, Sundays are the day that I can always count on him not having to work. So we have something we call Naked Sunday. And it doesn't mean that we're naked all day, but that's our time together. And our families know, everybody that knows us knows that's our time together. So whether we're out on the deck having coffee or talking about, things going on in our lives, we have that intimate connection where we can feel totally safe and we can be exactly who we need to be for each other. That's consistently happening. It's just like, if you decide to start working out or whatever, you can't just do it once a month. You've got to have that consistency. So for us, that's where we celebrate it. That's our time together. And, it's something really special. I mean, for me, it's like having that safe time with him and being able to laugh and talk about things that are important and really have fun together. It's like, that's my favorite day of the week. And it doesn't have only to do with the act. For me, it's that real emotional intimacy where every week we're coming back together and reinforcing the bond that we have, because it's kind of us and then the whole rest of the world. We always come back to each other. So
I'm
Oh,
not crying,
I
you're
love
crying. I'm not crying, you're crying.
Who's
no,
crying?
this
There's
is
no
absolutely.
crying in sex. Get out of here.
Just
Well,
happy
Mike is
tears.
that good.
Come on.
I just think it's awesome what you said, Michelle.
Mic drop. Are you crying? Oh.
Oh my goodness, Kelly. Oh,
I'm an
But you guys,
emotional.
what I love about what Michelle just said is it's a point where if you want that in your life and you're not prioritizing it, where you're setting aside a time or whatever amount of time that is required, where you grow the most in terms of success and happiness and where you're having your best results is in the things that you're prioritizing and making sure you carve out time and protect that time. And you got to be connected to why. Why is that time important? What is that going to mean for you in the moment that you're having that time, but also 5 years, 10 years. Michelle in 20 years, and when her and her husband are 100, they're going to have this incredibly amazing, totally connected, deeper connected than they are today kind of relationship. And that's a legacy for them to leave for their kids in terms of what a beautiful, fulfilling relationship should look like. And so because of the work that they're doing right now, because of the time they're intentionally setting aside for that, and when you do it that way, what's super cool is all of these, especially when we're talking about sex as a whole, or specifically, I should say, and you're doing all these things to tee it up to be a successful experience, a lovely, beautiful, amazing experience. You're going to have all these other benefits that come from sex, like you're going to have, like we've talked about, pain relieving. If you have pain, miraculously, you don't feel the pain when that's going on. It's absolutely a stress reliever, much like a good workout is. It is a good workout too, hopefully. For all of you, you're getting a good workout there. Count your calorie burn. But then also all of these happy hormones.
have your Fitbit on.
Log it in your workout activity tracker. So that you guys know that when you're having these experiences, there's only a couple of types of physical activities and ways to connect with other human beings that give off certain kinds of hormones, and having sex with somebody that you care about is absolutely one of those things where you get a lot of happy hormones that are expressed. So when you're doing it right and you're teeing it up right with the right person, you can associate that time with so many really good things that come as a benefit with that. So those are all the things that you want to maximize those things. So let's move on to our next topic with sexual expression. So this can be for some people like easy, and for some people it'll be like, I let him take the lead. I don't initiate anything. I just like sit here and like whatever you want to do. So which one are you, Jenny?
So Jimmy, tell us, which one are you?
Okay, I am not shy about this at all anymore. I will tell you, before, when I was married, I really, in the very beginning it was him. I think because when you're younger, you're shy, you really don't come, but when we got towards the end of the marriage and stuff, I definitely would try to initiate, but what was a crusher was when he would turn me down. And that like crushed me. And as a woman, I think all of you can relate that if you get turned down by a man, it makes you feel like nothing. You feel dead. Honestly, like I don't know anything that's more crushing than being turned down to have sex. I don't know about, I'm serious.
I'd rather feel dead than feel what I feel when there's rejection. And let's just say for both teams, they got to feel the same way, right?
Absolutely.
Anybody to feel rejection.
Anybody out there, comment, let us know how you feel about this, because I'm sure if you guys have been rejected, let us know how you feel. It's not a good did it bother you? Do you care? I don't know. For me, it was devastating. But after I got divorced, and I haven't been sexually active lately because of Taylor's accident. I will tell you that you know, a little deprived in that department. But I did have a few partners after John and I got divorced, and I was a big initiator. I mean, I would flirt and text, and I mean, I'm gonna pat myself on the back because I was pretty good there for a while.
So, and this comes, you know, Jenny did a lot of work to get to a place where she feels good about who she is. And it was not easy because she was coming from a place of feeling very bad about herself. So it's proof that when you're taking care of yourself emotionally, with your mindset, physically, and you're doing things in life that you know are good choices, and you're attracting people to you that you know you're going to enjoy your time when you spend with them, you can be more free and more confident to express than when you know you're in a negative situation. And especially when you're in a negative situation and then you try to be intimate, you're already feeling like, this is already, and then they turn you down and it's like just 100 times worse because you're already like not excited. So
I hope one day that I do have relationships like you guys do, especially Michelle. Like, your story just blows me away, and just to know that you have such an intimate relationship and the way that he speaks to you, like I long for that someday, definitely, because it's not just about sex, it's about the connection. And when you have that connection all around, it's just like sex just even is more amazing than just having sex, if you know what I mean.
You know what I love about having the confidence to sexually express yourself is, you know, we obviously, you know, you can ask for sex just like I talked about before, but there's also those times where you know, life gets busy. We do get tired. We are busy people. And sometimes, you know, you would just go to bed and not say anything. But I've also learned to say, like, hey, babe, you know, I was thinking about it. Let's have sex tonight, but I'm too tired. What do you think? He's like, I'm too tired, or whatever. We might have that conversation, but at least we know it was on each other's minds, you know? So it's not like it's this, you know, thing out there going, oh my God, is he mad at me? Am I getting too fat? Am I, you know, it's not one of those things. It's like, hey, I was thinking about it, but you know, the day got away from us and I'm exhausted, you know, maybe tomorrow morning, you know, I mean, so.
Flirties, you guys.
Exactly, I know. So
old people sex, that's what it's about.
I know, but it's nice to know that, you know, you were thinking about it. Whereas before, I'd keep it to myself. And
Or like, it's all good if I nap. Go ahead, you do what you gotta do.
Have that conversation, like, what do you think? So what do you want to do? Like, what, you know, I mean, is that really
level 1, level 2, or level 3 tonight?
You know, and usually I'll bring that up when I know, like, you know, we're both tired or something. And, you know, not that we've, you know, scheduled it. Like I said, I'm not the scheduler where it dings after I tell myself how confident I am. But, you know, it's just sometimes it's nice to you know, talk about it. Or sometimes you might be feeling a little randy in the morning, but you can't because there's stuff going on. Not randy meaning, you know.
What is randy?
I'm like, what's randy?
Is this a Michigan thing? What is it?
No, that's
horny. Okay, that's
horny.
yeah. Sorry. It's yeah, that's what it means.
Okay.
Yeah, but you don't, you know, there's not time because whatever's happening is happening, and you know, say, hey, let's meet up tonight. Well, that tonight you're too exhausted, you're like, you know, and you're both like, and you can see it and you can tell, but that communication is key to that intimate and ultimately sexual experience.
Mm-hmm. I
Well,
think
I
that,
think
oh, go ahead, Michelle.
I think it's important too that, you know, there's variety. Like we were talking earlier on another meeting about varying your workouts. Like nobody wants to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over forever and ever and ever. So there are going to be those situations that might be a little more fun, or, you know, in the morning when you're randy like Kelly, you know, maybe you gotta hop in the shower together, you know, make it more spontaneous. I mean, there's lots of opportunities to have that connection, especially if you're in the same household. Like my son is about to be 23. I don't have to worry about littles running around, but you can have that fun and have some of that spontaneity too.
Oh dear, I dropped the soap.
Right?
No faking it, Kelly.
No faking it.
I think that's totally true. I love those points, and it is true. Like, even just when you're thinking about it before you even know if you're too exhausted or not, it's a great thing. It's foreplay too, communicating.
Right.
You're thinking sexual things. It's flirty, to let them know. But remember too, there's a physiological piece to this, and especially when you're our age and your spouses are, our age, men I'm talking about. There are physiological changes going on inside of them, and sometimes, not everything's showing up the way they want it to. And so making sure that we're sensitive to those things, and that we're encouraging, not encouraging them, that's not the right word, not like, you can do it, honey. I don't mean that.
Oh,
But I mean just
yeah, that
encouraging.
doesn't go over well.
Well, encouraging the relationship, encouraging the connection, just like being like completely, just not even making a big deal out of that, I think is a huge thing. Like whatever, this is not it. Like you were saying, I can't remember, Kelly, you were saying, somebody was saying, it's not always just about the sex. It's
Right.
about sexually expressing, but it doesn't have to be actual sex. You can be very sexual, and meet each other where you are in that moment. For me, physiologically, I'm sometimes, like Kelly said, exhausted for many different reasons. It could be my hormonal cycle. It could just be what I did for, my work that day was just, emotionally or mentally draining, or whatever. I hadn't had good sleep the last couple of nights. So keep all of that in mind when it comes to sexual expression, so that your mind is prepared and you're not just being reactive, but you want to make sure that you're being proactive and in sexually expressing yourself with your partner, so that you don't miss those moments and then you just give in to exhaustion or frustration or the physiological things that are happening, and squelch a moment that you could be sharing with your partner.
Communication is key. You have to communicate with your partner. And if you're not feeling it, let them know ahead of time. Just even be like, I'm just having a rough day or whatever. Like, I think that's the biggest thing. A lot of people just go and they're like, and then they get crabby and they're like, don't touch me. And, and then it just sparks a whole different vibe and your energy's off. But if you're not having a good day, communicate with your partner. And
Maybe you
let
need
them
the
know.
sex if you're not having a good day. I mean,
Just
I have to wash my
Maybe
hair.
that's
Doesn't
why
work.
you're having a bad. Hello.
Make it a good day. Turn that day to a good day.
Meet your day with intention. Seriously, I mean that. But
Well, we talked about a whole bunch of really awesome things, you guys. Thanks for being so open and vulnerable. Those of you who are listening, hopefully some of these things serve. You guys have your own things that you've discovered, that you have formulated, that work well for you. As moms, let's support each other. As women, let's support each other. Share with us the things that you've discovered that could help us or help other moms who are listening to this and reading the comments. And guys, if you're listening to this, tell us what you think. It's important for us to see all perspectives, because we are women in this world, surrounded by awesome men in this world. And, we all matter. All of our voices count in terms of creating ultimate happiness and the Hero Mom life. So all of you are encouraged, please engage with us and have your comments be seen and shared. That's it for this one. Mwah! Hope you guys had fun with us, and we'll catch you on the next podcast. And we don't know yet what we're going to be talking about, but it's going to be fun.